Kashmir switched off. You look at other Xinjiang lockdown, Gaza lockdown, but here in Hong Kong, because of the per capita, because of the level of education, they're much more effective at their response. Then I came across an article which was looking at Kashmir, which was another of the periphery that I was talking about, and the article is called Kashmir Switched Off. It's on Rich Wrap-Ups if you're interested in reading it. And it's about these folks in the afternoon of 15th August 2019. We sit numb in our rented apartment in Delhi while mainstream Indian media busies itself digging the wounds of Kashmir. Barely any news has been allowed to escape the mountains since the 5th of August 2019. We haven't been home in a long time. What is the cost of making it home, a friend asks. Nobody really has an answer. Whatever the cost, we decide to go home to see what is really happening. The next day we take the morning flight to Srinagar. Over 6 days we travel about 280 miles across Kashmir, covering 5 districts. Our journey in parts made on foot, sometimes hitching a ride in ambulances, but mostly in private cars of friends, acquaintances, and complete strangers, is a personal one in search of truth and meaning. And it's super, very in-depth article. The restoration of Hindu pride is at the heart of the Hindu nationalist project in Kashmir. According to Hindutva ideology, taking control of Muslim lands, just as the Muslim invaders once did when they ruled over the Hindus as part of a broader civilizational quest. The abrogation of Article 370 of the Indian Constitution that gave Kashmir its special status was therefore one of the key nationalist issues, together with the construction of the Ram Mandir at the site of the Babri Masjid in Ayodhya, for which the BJP and its ideological head, the Rashtriya, Swayamsevak and RSS, have fought. In a historic speech delivered in 1952, founder of the Bharatiya Janata Party, which later became the BJP, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee declared, and I can't read it in the language he declared it in, but what it said was, one country can't have 2 constitutions, 2 prime ministers and 2 flags. One flag, one constitution and one prime minister has since been the driving slogan of the Sangh Parivar in relation to Kashmir. With the abrogation of Article 370, some commented that Mukherjee's dream had finally been realized. Very in-depth, interesting, fascinating article giving you on-the-ground reaction, saying that when Amit Shah walked into Parliament on 5th August, he was spotted carrying a folder. A visible sheet of paper from the folder carried some points of order. Point number 15 read, possibility of violent disobedience in sections of uniformed personnel. And then situation in Srinagar, according to reports, is worse. Regarding the extent of blockade and surveillance there, the Associated Press reported, amid the labyrinth whose entry and exit points change frequently, people find themselves disorientated in their own city and struggle to memorize its frequently changing street map. The resistance leadership and civil society activists have either been sent to jails outside Kashmir or to district jails across Kashmir. The young men who are routinely rounded up on charges of stone throwing are mostly kept in cramped rooms in local jails and sub-jails. Their numbers are not known. August, I didn't know this, to September is the wedding season in Kashmir, and hundreds of wedding ceremonies have had to be cancelled. The scrapping of Article 370 wasn't a surprise for Kashmir. It did not happen abruptly. The state administration can claim it was following orders, but that is an abasing defense even by its own mediocre standards. In their 2015 report titled Structures of Violence, the Indian state in Jammu and Kashmir listed an incident among 49 cases of mass violence perpetrated by the Indian Armed Forces between 1989 and 2006. We walked through an eerie graveyard-like silent city centre to reach Shri Maharaja Hari Singh Hospital. The hospital has a surprisingly low number of patients. Pediatric ward is absolutely empty. We came here only this morning. They will discharge us by evening. They're not keeping palliative people here for too long. The government, keeping them here for a night or longer, attracts attention. The government does not want that. The abrogation of Article 35A means that non-locals can buy and own property in Jammu and Kashmir. This, many argue, is an attempt by the Indian state to change the demographic composition of the place by enabling an overwhelming influx of non-Muslims. This is what power does at the periphery, whether it's Xinjiang, whether Han Chinese are diluting the Xinjiang Muslims, whether it's in the occupied territories in Palestine, where Israeli settlers are doing the same. This is a strategy that power uses and deploys. There have also been reports of Israeli army contractors possibly being involved in setting up a large surveillance network in Srinagar. Remember that article I was talking about from Mint Press News, which focused on Epstein and on Thiel and on that whole preventative, crime preventative scenario that they're all pursuing. The fight for freedom is a fight for space. In Kashmir, the control of streets is an indicator of freedom. If people control streets by way of simple movement or protests, they are free. Paul Virilio, I'll come back to that in a moment. A paramilitary trooper shouts from a distance, "Go back. We don't have the liberty to refuse his orders." Ironically, the graffiti on the brick wall behind the trooper reads, "Go India, go back." The reaction on Kashmiri streets, the professor argues, should bother India more. This is anger with grace, he says. They were prepared to kill, but Kashmir responded maturely. For now, it looks like Kashmir is waiting for a trigger, or conversely, a little space to breathe. Once the forces are withdrawn from the streets, there is every possibility of things taking a different turn. That's exactly the predicament staring the Indian state in the eye. Despite trying to find meaning in scattered anecdotes, the unease and uncertainty has not left us, but it is time to leave, so we pack our bags and walk back to the airport. An excellent article giving you real flavour from the street. Have a read. This photograph of police and the CRFP are seen patrolling MA Road in Srinagar and blocking the lane leading into Kotibak. That photograph's by Basharat Ali. In this next one, Srinagar's Lal Chowk wears a deserted look as it continues to be sealed off on all sides by the Indian security forces. I wrote that Kashmir was described by Nehru as the snowy bosom of the Himalayas, which is currently switched off from the 21st century, unlike Hong Kong, which can't be so far.